All right, please rise. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance real quick. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the regular board meeting for October 8th, 2025 to order. I'd like to make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
Parsons.
Aye.
Heppenstall.
Aye.
Carson.
Aye.
Tice. Fagan.
Aye.
Litton.
Aye.
Lomar.
Aye.
Is there any delegation?
No.
Okay. Any correspondence?
No.
Anyone have questions on the treasurer's report? Goodness, I can't. I'm sorry, guys. I can't see you. Any questions on the treasurer's report? Payment of the bills?
On the bills, there was the flag football uniforms. When we talked about flag football originally, did we talk about funding? I thought it was just gonna be covered under the school. We weren't paying anything.
Well, it's flowing through the school. That's how it's gonna work.
So is it getting reimbursed then?
So we have to talk to Corey about that, but yeah, we'll get it taken care of, squared away. So,
Okay,
But yeah,
Yeah, we had one
uniform.
uniform that I had to order supplementally,
okay,
because the ones that I had were not large enough.
okay.
So, and that one, that was one that was for, which will, I mean, I told them either way, but they wouldn't take the order unless it was placed by the school. Like, I couldn't place it individually.
And that makes sense. I just
Yeah,
thought, and it
just
didn't
flowing.
seem like it was enough for a whole team of uniforms,
Yeah.
but it
Oh, that one, yeah.
was like random, so
It's a jersey and shorts.
okay. But
Yeah.
those are expensive, but not, like I said, not enough for a
They're
whole team.
also
Yeah.
Nike.
Yeah.
So
So,
that's,
yeah,
yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
Fancy. They look nice though.
That investment
Yeah.
interest, I mean, we have that every month.
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, and the cap and gown, there was a cap and, like, it seemed like one cap and gown.
So that'd be for a homeless student that we have. And so, in part of that, with our homeless money, we can use that to help pay for expenses like that for
Okay.
them being identified as homeless.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yep, good questions.
Anything else? Sorry, guys. All right, if there's no other questions, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the minutes of the revenue neutral hearing meeting of September 10th, 2025. Adopt the minutes of the budget hearing meeting of September 10th, 2025. Adopt the meeting minutes of the regular board meeting of September 10th, 2025. And to adopt the continuation of the regular board meeting minutes of September 10th, 2025. Also like to reimburse the petty cash for the high school in the amount of $22.95. Approve the treasurer's report of September 30th of 2025. And approve the payment of the bills and the bills to be allowed in the amount of $177,167.75 for October 8th, 2025. And the September 2025 payroll in the amount of $557,372.88.
Second.
Tice.
Aye.
Lomar.
Aye.
Parsons.
Aye.
Litton.
Aye.
Heppenstall.
Aye.
Carson.
Aye.
Fagan.
Aye.
All right, there's no old business, so we'll jump down to new business for the Greece and Italy student trip.
So Ms. Piper's here, Mr. McCartney are here today to kind of give you an update of what's going on with that. So I'll just turn it over to them.
All right, so this past summer, I took kids to Spain and Portugal. We were supposed to have gone to Peru, but due to having a small number of the group and not being able to coordinate with other schools' dates, we ended up having to change our trip, which took us to Portugal and Spain. If you've never been to Portugal, you need to go. It is beautiful. And while we were in Spain, we went like the whole coast. We got to go to Gibraltar, which is like a British territory in Spain. You could look across the ocean and see Africa. It was just absolutely amazing. So well worth it for that trip. Most of you probably know, but not everyone may know that I don't live here in Kansas. I live in Oklahoma. And So I don't know, like, moving forward, how much longer I'll be here. Hopefully it's a bit longer, but I don't know how many more times I'll be able to travel with students like this. I'm hoping to at least do one more. And so I thought if I'm going to do one more, maybe I could hand it over to someone else and go with them and just kind of teach them the ropes on how you handle student travel abroad and what that's involved. So Ms. Piper is going to be the group leader on this trip. I'm just going to go along as a chaperone, but just kind of help her get through the kinks of taking students out of the country.
All right, Mrs. McCarty, you want to hand this out? So yes, this will be my first trip taking students on any form of travel, much less international, but I am extraordinarily excited
Thank you.
to announce that we will be going to Italy and Greece in the summer of 2027. So our trip has a very kind of action-packed and amazing itinerary. So some of those things include going to Athens, Greece, and Delphi. Italy, we are going to go and spend some time in Rome, as well as Florence, and a few other places kind of around in the Greece and Italy kind of area of the world. And so I feel like this is an extraordinary opportunity for students. I myself took my first international travel opportunity over the summer. And had an amazing time and honestly taught me so much about myself, the world through that experience, and I honestly can't wait to share it with students and that way hopefully open their eyes to what the world and international travel opportunities can open up for them. So we just kind of wanted to give you guys some information about our upcoming tour in the summer of 2027.
How many students did you take last time?
I took 9 last time.
9?
Yep.
Are you thinking the same amount or?
So as of right now, we have 10 people signed up. That is including 2 adult chaperones as well that are going to be paying participants on this trip. I'm hoping to grow the number at least by a few more. Ideally, I'd like to see a group of about maybe 15 or 16.
You had mentioned partnering up with other schools in the area or abroad or whatnot. Would we be doing the same thing with this one, trying to find others?
Yeah, more than likely. If you don't have 30 paying participants in your group, you get paired up. In 2023, I took a group to Europe, and there were 28 paying participants, so we only had to group up by 2 people. We only had to group up with 1 school, and there were just 10 of them. This time, since I only had the 9, we were grouped up with 4 other schools, which wasn't really the most ideal of situations. I'm hoping this one grows so that we're not with so many. And honestly, I had more, it wasn't the kids that were the problems, it was the other adults on the trip that were kind of an issue. So, yeah, it's best to not be paired with all those people. But, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, I guess. It was worth it to go.
I appreciate you making it work.
Is this trip limited to just a Spanish class or
No,
open to all students? or-
It's all, we talked to Mr. Kimball about it and anybody,
District-wide.
and he even recommended maybe co-oping with area schools. We just haven't, we wanted to see how much interest we had from our school before we
That's
look
the
down.
summer of 2025, you said?
2027.
Oh, 2027, okay. I was thinking, man, you're under the gun.
Are you doing the 10-day or the 14-day?
10 days.
What's the student cost on this?
So student cost is right at about $5,000. Adult chaperones going on the trip, that's looking closer to about $5,800. And we do have some fundraising opportunities that we are looking into. We're already actually have some donations coming in from area businesses and activities around the state of Kansas that we are looking to potentially be looking at raffling off in the near future, potentially at like basketball games and things like that to kind of help with the cost of the trip as well.
So basically, all we cover is like transportation then?
Get us to the airport and kick us out.
To come back and pick us up.
Yeah, come back and pick us up.
I did
Jim's been on one of those, yeah.
pick you up and drop you off.
Yep,
Early morning or late?
Oh. middle of the night, 1:30, and then, I can't remember when we got back on that
It
one.
was like 4 in the morning.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
And it was icing on the way home. It
Oh,
was
yeah,
nasty.
yeah.
Yeah, and the last one, we got back into Wichita at 10:30 at night, so we didn't get back here till after midnight. And they don't pick the best hours to leave and get back.
So you said this is summer 27. Is this open to the 8th graders then too?
Yes.
Yep. Sign them up.
Yep, district-wide, elementary, middle, and high school.
Wow, you might be asking for it.
Yeah.
Looks like a fun trip.
It does look like a fun trip.
Well, we appreciate you guys taking the lead on this and giving this opportunity to our kids and others, so it'd be a great experience for them. But appreciate you doing that, being here tonight. Share with the board.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Pearson Architecture.
All right, Bobby's here tonight. She's here, gonna kind of give you an update where we're at, things that we've done, and I'll just turn it over to her so I don't get in the way of anything.
No, thanks for the opportunity. Pat Tolan is here tonight with us too. Pat and I have worked together on some projects in the past. He's with a construction company, and there's a lot of great construction companies out there. Pat has helped us with the ECC just recently, helping develop some cost and some just some scope, another eyes on it, just some thoughts. The more input we can get. Tonight we're just going to talk about some of the different paths. I know that Ted talked about some of those at the last meeting, so we'll touch on those. He talked about a broader range. We're going to narrow it down a little bit. What our goal is, we've had a couple meetings. We've had a few meetings. We had a work session last Wednesday that was fabulous in the afternoon. We met with middle school group, with the CT educators. Before that, we met with the maintenance groups, just to gather some information. Let's get this going. Let's figure out what our needs are, what our goals are. Think, what do you want it to become? What can we serve better in our school, as well as the maintenance issues and the things that we know are in our existing school, but how do we think beyond that? And part of that also is, the cost associated with it. Let's look deep into some of those things, think about the details. We want to do the best job so we have the right information at hand when we get to this point of, if we want to put this to a bond election. So hit the right targets, do our work, roll our sleeves up, dig into what's existing here, as well as where we want to envision and make happen with the new bond election. So in that, this is what we believe we're here for, to talk a little bit about the CM at Risk, and I welcome any questions. We'll tell you some of our experience. Pat and I, when we first met each other
Yeah,
a long time ago, a really long time ago, and the state had not done any alternate delivery before. Any kind of alternate delivery is design, build, CM at Risk, any of those type of, anything besides a traditional design, bid, build. And so we were tasked, you served in leadership on the AGC, the Association of General Contractors, and I was on the board for the American Institute of Architects. So we met, KU was kind of getting it going. They were gonna be one of the first ones out of the gate to do it. It ended up that ESU was the very first CM at Risk project for the state of Kansas. So it was all amount of like, what are the statutes? How do you follow, how do you make this fair? How do you get competitive bids? What is the process for the state of Kansas? So that was really kind of like scary and fun.
Pioneering a little bit.
Yeah.
Trying to-
Yeah.
The rules, now there's pretty good statutes in place. Back then, the statutes were just being written, so.
They were also gray.
Yeah.
Yeah. how do you do it fairly, and how do you, there's a lot of people, and how do you approach it where everyone has the same standards that you go by? And yeah, through the years, we've been involved. He has been and I have been. And the reason I think it's a great balance here, that we're both here, and please feel free to give us any thoughts on or questions. He's from the construction side of it, and I've been from the private firm and owner side of it. So we've seen different sides of it, and the benefits and the drawbacks and the different things to different scenarios of alternate delivery. Every project is completely different too. If it's a brand new project versus, something really messy, and if it's phased, that's another thing. Like schools, you have delicate phasing you have to think about, because you have winter break, then you have spring break, you have fall break, you have summer break, and some of these are little things that you can get in and do, or you can think, if we started spring break, then that gives us a leg up through the summer, but every project is completely different, and you guys have seen that in your experience. But we have a number of projects in this feasibility study that we want to think about those layers, because some of those layers develop into different cost scenarios, and how can you build it and make it more doable for the construction and for the life of it. So that's where we are going to kind of lead into. Part of it is good jumping around, and part of it is a little bit more just technical. But right now, we're at the design approach and the budget magnitude, just the feasibility study, which we already jumped into. When we have all that developed and we have a program like we did on the ECC, we start off with what are the ideas, and I'll keep typing meeting notes and keep rewriting the program. It's this living thing through the process of input and adjustments and different things, and try to think of all the components that are going to cost different things, playground equipment, furniture, all the things that we need to keep layering into it and assessing as we go. That program will reach its completion, and we'll go for the Vote Yes campaign, ideally. That's where we want to take it to the next step. And then there's just kind of a line drawn. When it passes, then you initiate a project. And so after the project's initiated, we have the potential where I think this is a project, multiple projects, but an overall project that's well suited for the construction manager at risk. So we're going to talk a little bit about that part of it today, and then jump into construction administration. And then you get to move into everything. This you saw, these parts of it when in Ted's presentation, that was part of it, but I think this is some key things here. I can't really see from that angle, I didn't remember going like this and only going this side. But those key points I think were really good, because you might jump in, Pat, a little bit on this blue square.
Sure.
Pre-construction services holds trade contracts and often provides a GMP. So from the owner's perspective in a CM at risk, that was a wonderful thing. I think serves the owner well, because you know where you're headed in this from the very beginning. The construction manager jumps on the team early. You give everything a gauge, you establish a GMP, and then from then on through the rest of the process, you're able to track all the costs. You're able to know really what you're spending your money on, very detailed wise, if you want to, which we did every month. All the receipts were attached to it.
Right, it's a very, very open book process versus the traditional design bid build, where the architect gets the drawings done, put it out to contractors, the bids come in, and you're on pins and needles because you don't know if you're over budget or not, because there's not been any, not that I'm saying architects can't budget.
It will be great.
Contractors are better at budgeting. That's the design bid build method. And then there was going around the state for a while was CM agency, which I think in everybody's opinion, including all the school boards, is not the best idea, because the construction manager would not hold any of the subcontracts. The school district would. So if a subcontract defaulted, went down, it was up to the school district to deal with that. Then the construction manager at risk was born, to put the risk back on the contractor, basically. Hold all the subcontracts and manage the project, but also go with more of an open book approach than the traditional design bid build. That makes sense.
On that part of it, the thing that I think is a huge importance is jumping in early, hearing the conversations, understanding the needs of the district or whoever the owner is, which is the district here, but hearing the needs. So the design intent is understood. So you're knowing where everybody wants to be as an end result from the really initial language that they hear. So all of those costs it's a team, it's a partnership from the beginning. And so that is a huge benefit. And what I like this from the owner side is every single Tuesday we would meet, we would look at, okay, we are running high on this. We ran into something we didn't anticipate on a messy project. And so, okay, here's what we had as our wish list. How do we kind of keep that on the wish list? How do we balance that somewhere else and get the end result of where we want to be? So we're always staying on task to like back and forth, the construction, the design from a really early onset, which I think is incredibly helpful. And we do have, to the point of where we'll run through some of a just brief overview of our projects. You know there's some messy things here. And we're gonna dig into some things that we try to find as much information as we can. We know there's gonna be some things that come up along the way that we, that's concealed spaces, or you name it. We can't name it right now because we don't know, but yeah.
Bobby, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
So like when
jump in.
these weekly meetings happen, it's like somebody from the school there with the CM, with this
Yeah,
at risk, or is
That's
it?
not necessarily a written rule, but I think it's so helpful.
Okay.
And back in the day, it was like in person, which I think is great. When it's under construction, you can put your hands on it and touch it, you know what your eyes are on it. And maybe it happens once a month with everybody there. But I think and we just did that on a very big, messy project, where at the beginning it was like, oh, we don't need to meet once a week. We're like, let's have a touch base for 20 minutes. Well, those touch bases were never 20 minutes long. They were like sometimes an hour and a half. It was just like, okay, we saw this. What do we do? How do we? And everybody just kind of, the owner was there, the engineer was online, the architect was, the contractor, sometimes the subcontractor, but not always, but some of the major ones. Depended what we were into, really, if it was site work or you name it,
Yeah.
the right person was there.
Well, and on the project, we just finished a project for ESD 437 in the middle school in Topeka. On that project, just as an example, we and the architect met every single week. And we were talking about all the behind scene. And then every other week, the school district representatives were on to kind of, we don't want to waste, you guys are all busy, don't want to waste your time. So we'd have, a good list of, we need to talk about these things and get these items answered. Then the next week, it'd be more of looking at details and what kind of material we'd use and things like that. That worked really well too.
Yeah, I think through the course of the project, it will vary. It'll vary by the phase that you're in, and also, you just hit it when you need to, type of thing. And always, I think the good thing is everybody's in a partnership, so we all know that we can feed off each other and learn from each other because we're communicating from the beginning. So that's the good thing, and that's why the early constructability input, let's go in and think about, there's so many different ways you can draw something and do something, but to have those opinions and think about the cost impact is so wonderful. And I do a pretty darn good budget, but it is great to feed off of each other and know where you are and, different ways to do things. And so that's always helpful. Wood versus steel or different things like that, even, on some of those.
There's different types of construction where you may look at structural stud construction, wood construction, masonry, and steel. A construction manager to get in there and give you all four options, figure out what's your best bang for your buck, basically. And you want part of it's a tornado shelter, so you want to be blocker, those kind of discussions.
Code compliance, fire safety, all those things like that. There's a lot of bouncing those ideas off each other. The other thing is, the schedule overlap, what helps with doing certain things at the same time in different places, because we're all over the place on the map. So then here, we do have some complexity, some phasing, some heavy renovation.
on our projects that we're looking at. Here's where we're at. We're in different spots on the map here. So just to think about how do you
free up some space. And I know you guys have given that some thought already, but just to think about the layers of where you move students during those pieces of the puzzle. So playing all that together. We have the major highlights in red of the major focus areas. And then we have the other things that are just our maintenance capital projects considerations, which have a life of their own really in the budget and trying to figure those things out, which will be incredibly helpful. So Pat, you want to talk about some of the main key points that just stand out?
Sure. I'll try and I'm here to talk about the process, not how we do it. I'm used to getting up in front of school boards and trying to tell you why I'm the best contractor for the job, and I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm going to tell you why this process works, or I'm going to try, so forgive me if I go into that much. But no, I'll hit each of these real quickly. I mean, CMAR allows the contractor to be engaged during design, which is what Bobby was talking about in those weekly meetings. Looking at constructability reviews, cost input, and talking about schedule. A lot of times on the constructability reviews, the architect may draw detail of a parapet wall that's very complicated and may leak from our past experience or something like that. And we can suggest, well, what if we did it like this? And there's that collaborative approach where after the drawings are done and the job's bid, then you're stopping progress to fix that detail instead of fixing that before the project starts. Budgeting, early budgeting, again, the last thing anybody wants is a big surprise when the numbers come in. CMs will usually provide, 2 to 3 to 4 different budget updates, starting with more of a conceptual, almost a napkin sketch. It'll be high level, there'll be a pretty big contingency number in there. As the drawings become more complete, the budget gets updated, usually a conceptual phase, then there's a design development phase, and then maybe a 50% construction drawing phase. Step back, take a look at the budget again. If we got budget problems, you can stop then and say, okay, what can we do to get this back on track? And also during that process, provide a list of, almost a grocery list of wish list items. Some of them are adds, some of them are deducts. So you have some flexibility there as you move along with the budget. So the budgeting is a huge benefit of the CMAR approach. And then fast track, kind of hit on this. You can, and we've done this many times, is start a project before the drawings are 100% complete due to a condensed schedule. And maybe it's things like you're going to get in over spring break in your instance and do a bunch of selective demolition. But you can still operate school when spring break's over. That gives you a head start on summer work. The other thing, especially in this day and age, your lead times on equipment, mechanical equipment, a lot of times is 25 to 35 weeks out on rooftop units right now. Also electrical switchgear, electrical panels, those types of things are so far out. The old, method of design, bid, build, the contractor could not get that stuff ordered until they had a contract. In this method, it allows basically an early procurement of those items, those long lead time items. You would know the cost. They would still be bid out to the subcontractors. But if approved, you could get your rooftop units ordered while the architects may be halfway through design.
And that happens pretty often anymore.
It's really tough right now, these lead time items. And then the CMAR shifts the risk of the cost and schedule to the construction manager. Guaranteed maximum price is set. Don't exceed that guaranteed max. Now, if you decide to build another addition halfway through the project, that's another deal. But, having CM on board through the design process, if a detail's missed or, something's not designed quite correctly, it's our responsibility, not yours. And it really reduces the ugly word change orders. So.
And we might have thought we had it right, and then we dig into it and we have to reevaluate it. But I think that the more eyes you have on it, the more thinking.
Absolutely.
And you or any contractor has the manpower to bring in and investigate more than we would be otherwise.
That's another good point, getting in, getting above the ceilings, maybe tearing into a wall or two and seeing what's behind the wall. You know, we think we know what's back there. We think it was a wood frame wall, maybe it's a metal stud wall, and that affects fire ratings and everything else. So, yeah, doing some of that stuff really. I think one of the biggest things that folks are kind of afraid of in the CMAR approach is that it's not a competitive approach, but it really is. When you're selecting the CM, it is a fee-based proposal. It's qualifications-based. You don't have to go with the low fee, but there is a fee. A lot of times the general conditions, the overhead items are set, the bonds, the insurance, all that's, competitively submitted on by different CMs. And then once the CM's on board, typically what happens is bid packages are put together for subcontractors, and those go out and those are competitively bid on a bid day. So you're really still getting that competitive approach that you did in the old design bid build method. And we actually, was it 2012? The last
Around there-ish.
around there. The last project you guys did, we did it, you did use this method. I don't know if anybody was on the school board then or not, but, and I think it was pretty successful.
A lot was done from that.
That's the question I was gonna ask, how much, I don't know if we've looked into it from our last bond issue, but how many things did not happen during our last bond that we passed? Like I've heard rumor like there was supposed to be a locker room at the football field, but the budget came in way over, they had to cut it back. What is the percentage doing it this way, like on completion? Like for like, do you get 90% of it done on an average? And if you went the old design build process, are they only getting 88% of it done? Or do you guys usually get 100% of what's bid done in the process?
Typically, we get everything done. But I'm not gonna lie, there's typically some concessions made to get everything done. Maybe you want brick out on the outside of your building, but you have to get a stucco.
Yeah.
To get, a program, I don't know, another classroom or whatever. So that's the kind of back and forth that goes on during that whole pre-construction process and that grocery list of items. And then the other thing, I think it's on here, being an open book accounting process throughout the project, you'll see the savings and you get the savings back. The old way of doing it, the bid job, if I get done early and I save $10, I get to keep $10. In this process, you get it back. And there's really no need for an audit at the end, because when every pay application comes through every month that Bobby would approve, whoever the district would approve, it really is a monthly audit of the costs that went into that project. So, but yeah, through that, honestly, we get 100% of it, unless it's just something, completely off the wall. But usually the district knows going into it that they can't afford that element.
I'll say my thought on that is that in a CM at risk, you have a little bit more flexibility to navigate when you run into complex things and you kind of keep rebalancing, but you don't want to take something completely off the list. But that did come up on Wednesday when we were sitting around there, like we didn't get the weight room. And yeah, okay, those things need to stay on the list. And that's why it's so important before the bond issue that we do everything possible to try to think about what the budget is, evaluate, take it off the list and make it a wish list thing. And then we can balance it in, try to do it. But you're really trying to hit the market of what do you think you can get to pass and what's responsible for the community. And so I think, I have the ones that I've personally worked on, we have hit our mark and we had a contingency built in that helped us address some of the things that we ran into. And then we were able to actually pay for some of the maintenance and some other things that we didn't even think we were gonna be able to do. But that doesn't happen on everything. You run into things. The middle school is probably gonna be a little bit messy. I'm just gonna guess, because that's an older school. We're gonna run into some things. We're gonna try, I mean, you have the buried locker room down below that I have not went down into yet, but I'm planning to, but I'm not trying to do it any too soon before I have to. But there's gonna be some messy stuff and we're gonna have to dig into it. But as far as you just gotta stay, the early communication and the trying to stay on top of it. And communication is everything. And that helps people know why you went to the places you went to. And that's why I think that open book on accounting is helpful too. You're figuring out how far your money is getting you and you're staying on top of it from the beginning instead of waiting till the end and know, we overspent on this. I mean, if that happens on every little project, every big project, if you don't say, hey, we can't do that because then this comes off the list, think about the priorities from the beginning before you get too deep in.
The other interesting thing, real quick, just popped in my brain that Auburn Washburn did, they had a fairly large, it was $90-some million bond issue for a bunch of different, they touched every school in the district and built a new middle school. They wanted to build a new gym for girls wrestling because the program's just exploded there. They already had a wrestling room dedicated to wrestling, and that thing was kind of just blackballed throughout. So they ended up splitting. They had a bond issue, or a vote, I'm sorry, for this new wrestling facility, and then there was everything else. That got voted down, everything else passed, which I thought was an interesting concept, and I don't know, I truly believe that it may still have passed, but it would have been a lot closer if that part of the project would have been in. So I thought that was an interesting way to skin a cat.
Yeah, and I had never heard about anything like that with that project. So that was,
There's no
they didn't
reason
want
to-
everything to fail, then they knew it was a hard thing to pass, so.
And at the end of the
I don't
day,
know
they've
that.
actually saved enough off of the other projects that they're gonna construct that.
I think, Tyler, to your point, I think that was what happened with the previous bond, is that they underestimated how receptive the public would be for that vote. And so they cut a few things because they were afraid that it may not pass if they included the whole entire wish list. And then it ended up passing, 3-1. I think if they would have kept everything in, it would have passed, maybe not 3-1, but it would have passed.
There was a lot of conversation of, we've got to get this to pass at this time, because we didn't want to lose the funds that were available for free if we got it within that time frame, basically, right? That's what I remember.
Because I remember you talking about the locker room. I remember all that discussion. I remember about the turf football field discussion. I mean, there were some other discussions too that they opted to take off the table because they were ultimately afraid that it wouldn't pass and then they wouldn't get, everything that they wanted to. So
I kind of feel like if that would not have, if you were a traditional bid on that, you might have been like way over the top, or, what would you do when the bids came in? I feel like, it's the early beginning. We just need to be on task as much as possible. And also to think about what is responsible to get it, to put out there for a positive vote, yes, but.
think we could do a $90 million bond issue?
I mean, we just don't want to be in like our neighboring district that they passed a bond issue and now they're not getting what they passed the issue on. So that's one thing that I hope that we don't run into, so.
But it sounds like that part of the previous bond, what it actually wasn't included in what passed for the bond is what I'm hearing. So it wasn't that we ran into an issue of not getting it.
Yeah, I think they took those things off the table because they wanted to make sure that they got certain things in, and the fluff and all the extras. They were afraid that those would kind of be viewed, down. So
not an issue of money running over budget or anything like that.
So that's a good question though. That did come up last Wednesday and I want to make sure that everything, like at the meetings, it was like, put your voice out there. Let's hear it now. Don't wait till later because then we will have, budget or other things that we need to talk about. So let's just keep keep documenting it, keep assessing it, make it a living process where we can make it right, or try to make it get as much information and as right as we can with what we know.
Yep. I think I kind of hit on these other two, but I think this kind of sums it up. CMAR brings contractor on board early, providing cost and constructability input during design, offers greater budget and schedule certainty through guaranteed max price, reducing change orders, fosters more collaborative, transparent process, delivers better value to the owner. So kind of sums it up. Schedule certainty, we really didn't hit on that, but that is a huge thing that you need to start very, very early on, especially if you have some summer work that's going to be involved. We've done projects split over 2 summers, not ideal for anybody, but that's the only way they could get it done. But if your CM's on board early and getting that schedule and figuring out the logistics and understanding the uses and what you have to keep going, that logistics plan and that schedule can be worked out very, very early and everybody can be aware of it rather than, okay, here's the job, now go build it, and figure out the schedule, and you haven't coordinated with anybody in the district, any of the teachers, any of the principals. So that's another.
That's huge, and unless and you guys have lived it in the occupancy side of it, and then maybe in some of the trades, different trades, but you think about what works for the school's schedule, and then also the fire marshal, and thinking about, okay, where are your mechanical systems serving? Where are your zones here? Where's the fire safety zones? You gotta think about all those layering on top of each other, and then the submittal process, getting approval, getting people on board at the right time, getting contractors scheduled where they're not, there's been projects back in the bid days, it's like, I'm gonna hold this bid because I'm not gonna put it out because I know that other project is bidding in that same month. I'm either gonna go ahead of them or I'm gonna wait till it bids and then I'm gonna get all the other folks that are, because I want a lot of bids on this project. You want competitive bids, so you kind of have to know where the market is too when you're working with that schedule. This is the boring part, so I saved it for last. But it is the state statute part of it, but it really, there's a lot of language here. This is one state statute that just talks about that the alternate delivery process, because that's design build, it's CM at risk, it's any different form than a traditional design bid build. And so it is strictly, per statute, it is qualifications and best value approach. So there's procedures you follow to make sure it stays in that, and there's scoring worksheets, there's all these things that manage that. You advertise it. Here's some of the benefits of it that we just went over before. It is by statute required to have all those pieces to the puzzle. This is the other statute that basically what it says is you advertise, you have a 3-stage approach. The school district requests qualifications submittal. That's a standard SOQ form that they're very familiar with. You get all their information, it's documented. And then what you do is you shortlist it. You shortlist it down to 3 to 5 qualified firms, qualified construction management firms. And so it's a very fair, then you score them and you pre-qualify them for submitting proposals. And then those proposals are, jump in if you've been on the other side of submitting it. So the proposal, but I've interviewed for it, I've been on the owner side and the architect side of it, every project you might have the same scoring worksheet, but you assess it differently because different things are important on different projects, right? So you're looking at different criteria that mean different things. So they submit the proposals, and then also with that, the proposal is the company's overview resume, if they're appropriate for the project, if they worked on a similar type of work before. And then also they submit, which is the really interesting component, they submit a fee proposal, but then the Department of Administration scores. So you have an outside component that is also coming in to score, to be a fair process. It's someone else coming in, so it's not just a district solely making a judgment. And then you interview them. There's 3 to 5 firms that you interview, and that holds a 50% weight on the scoring of it. So really, it's meant to be a fair process. You base them on qualifications to begin with. Are they appropriate for you? And then the fee proposal is another component of it. So it's not a publicly bid from the construction management side of it, but it is a qualifications, and the money is a major factor in it too. So the cost and the qualifications are the important part of this. But no,
No, I'll
it
jump
is a
back just for a
bid part.
minute. So those fees, I mean, those are all the GC's fees, and that's competitive. Besides those fees, it's really subcontractor prices, which are all, like I said, bid out. We try to get 3 to 5 sub bids on every scope. And those can be shared. If you want to see every bid, you should ask your construction manager. That's your right to see every bid submitted. But sometimes the GC will self-perform concrete, steel erection, carpentry, those type of things. If the CM is going to self-perform, they need to submit that sealed bid to you or to Bobby or a day ahead of when the subcontractor bids are due. So there can be no games played with, that CM getting all the sub bids and then they're lowering their number to get that self-performed work. So.
That's by statute. The subcontractors, if they're outside subcontractors, they submit them to the CM.
Yep.
If the CM decides to self-perform, they submit them to the board. So different people open different sealed bids, but you're all aware when you're, and I've been there before, you're standing there and you're opening it and the subs are bidding it and you win and you lose some. I mean, but that's the whole part of it. You want to get good competitive bids. It's not about winning or losing. It's about how do you get the project to come under budget.
Yeah, at the
And it
end of the
works.
day, we're not all about, we can self-perform a lot, but at the end of the day, we just want the project to happen. We want, if we can self-perform some stuff and help the budget, great. If we get beat,
But
that's
lots of
fine.
times, my experience, the CM, when they self-performed, it's because they wanted to, or sometimes they did it because they were afraid they weren't gonna get any other bids, and they just wanted to, they're like, okay, we'll do it if we need to, and it's
Nobody
not
wants to
like.
install toilet partitions and toilet accessories, so a lot of them just submit because that's what we do.
So it is really an open book, and I think for this project, it's gonna be a little bit complex with the different phasing as well as just digging into the middle school. So I know I've taken more time than I really intended to, but I feel like if there's any questions, that's a recommendation I think you should maybe consider, and that's how we're gonna keep digging in and rolling up our sleeves and having this work sessions at least to get the feasibility stuff going. And right now, we're getting some great input. We did on the Early Childhood Center. We're building the budget as we're thinking about how many spaces are in here, what's the right size of them, and then also walking down the hall and looking at the cafeteria floor or the high school subfloor, things like that too. So always feel free to give me a yell if there's something you can think of. I appreciate the opportunity. It's been fun so far. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks, sir.
Anyone have any questions before they take off? No. All right, band trailer.
So this summer, Brody came to me and said he would like to look into getting a new trailer. The one we have is pretty old and it's just not really functioning for him properly. So I think he was at a conference or something and talked to some providers and got some quotes. So I got those today. He sent them this summer, but I asked him to send an update because sometimes they change after a couple of months. So I said, once the budget was in place, then we can look at doing that. So what you have there is some quotes that he received from 2 different companies. He tried a third, but wasn't able to receive anything. Talking to Alan and transporting, they think 24 foot and Brody thinks 24 foot is sufficient enough that we can manage and take care of to do that. So you see some sample pictures there, what they look like, and the inside, they're specifically for band hauling, percussion lifts and things of that nature that are included in there. We would utilize the old trailer for football and different things, hauling, and we've used it for different things. So we plan to keep that and just have it as we do that. But I know you guys haven't seen this stuff before, so I'm kind of opening it up. But it's time, I think, that we need to consider getting him a new trailer for transporting equipment and things to different functions, so.
How, that was my question.
Yeah.
How many times did we transport?
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
how many different events did we go to?
I don't know, I can find that out, but I think there's 4 at least that I can think of parades and, you know, the festival, like we went to ESU last week and did well, and,
Well, do they transport instruments from the high school to the football field?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm asking. I don't know.
They do that a couple times during the, I mean, they went out the other day, Alan took them out there and do that. There's, when they do go perform at the state or the league tournament, they're gonna need to, you know, use the trailer for that, so it's probably more than that.
They took it from New Orleans.
Yeah, New Orleans.
They use it quite a bit then.
Yeah, it seems, I mean, it's to, where he's getting concerned with the one we have, just to haul in his equipment, and
Thank you.
so. But, I mean, these are vendors that he is aware of, that's where they came from, the quotes.
And I can't imagine that there's a bunch of places that offer all this extra stuff, specific band-wise, to attach to the trailers. So probably not a whole lot of people out there that
I don't.
retrofit these
Yeah, I don't,
trailers
yeah,
to
to have some of these.
to do
different
exactly
things.
what-
You know, where you
Yeah,
set your
to what-
percussion and.
what's offered.
Certain instruments so they don't fly around and.
I hate to, yeah. You see a $10,000, $11,000 trailer and then it ends up being $40,000 and I'm,
Yeah, I mean, there's the vinyl wrappings on there, that's, you know, a significant cost, but, you know, I think it looks sharp, obviously, we want our things to look sharp, we did that with the bus.
there's
You know-
not a lot of places that do this, so it's kind of a niche.
Yeah, and like I said, he tried to get 3 quotes, and this is.
Probably hard to find a
Yeah.
bunch of different quotes.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's, like you guys kind of mentioned, local people that could make something happen like that, would be specific to band, I don't know that, and those costs add up, but.
When we talked about it, I was just thinking a trailer.
Yeah,
Not.
yeah, no, it was
Extra
specific
stuff.
to hauling equipment, band equipment and things.
Yep.
Still pickup trucks.
Yep.
They do trips.
Yeah, that's what, yeah,
That is
TJ
another
said.
question. I know they use the school truck to pull it.
Yeah.
If you go a bigger trailer, is our trucks gonna be able to handle?
Yeah, that's what I talked to Alan, we think we could, that's why he's recommending the 24-foot, that would be fine. We're also gonna look at maybe with, you know, putting a hitch to the vans, one of the vans, I think it might be able to do that too, so we could put a trailer hitch on it so they can use it instead of the truck being gone, so we're gonna look at that option, or to haul that other trailer too for like football games and things. We don't have any hitches on those red vans, so we'll look to put one on there for like football games and stuff, because Andrew would like to use that trailer for away games.
Our old trailer has several businesses on it that obviously
Yeah,
gave money, most of them are out of business now.
Yeah.
They're on there, but.
yeah, and that's what Brody said, he could look into those things, and that's why, you know, not to exceed this, you know, and that if they could counter some of that with some donations, that he could look to go out and do, that we could help with the overall cost on that, he's willing to do that. He did
Does
mention
band
that.
do fundraising at all?
I mean, they've been doing it for their big trips and not necessarily this band trailer. This is kind of just jumped on this summer, like, you know, it's time to think about doing that based on the trailer that we have. So I'm sure he'd be willing to help to look at some of that, see about donations to help cut the cost of this overall, so. But I'd recommend the 24-foot trailer from Stadium Creations, based on the quote that's provided.
It might be on there, but how long would it take to get it?
Yeah, that's what I was.
It said,
To be determined
The other one had the
at time of PO.
hold on just a second.
Oh, yeah, it does.
That's the one in Texas, right?
Mhm.
The stadium.
Yeah,
I'll go pick it up for $2,500.
Said roughly 8 to 10 weeks, lead time of 8 to 10 weeks.
And did that one include the vinyl wrapping?
Yes.
It's quicker than a school bus.
Yeah, that's for sure. That is for
the
sure.
wrap was $8,400 on its own.
Yeah, that's a significant cost on there too, so.
And this would be a Cadillac compared to what we have.
Yeah.
As far as the wrap, would they go with our artwork or?
Yeah, we will provide all that artwork and mascots and things, and so the graphic design team will do it just like the bus did. but he will work with them on that.
I mean, I'm assuming you'll have trailer brakes but I don't see anything in here.
I'm assuming that too, Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, getting that much weight in there and being 24 foot, I'm assuming
Yeah.
it will.
Comes with a 7-way plug, so
Yeah, I
it
saw
ought
that.
to have brakes.
Any other questions?
And what would that be paid out of?
We can do it out of capital outlay. We have plenty to do it in that. That's one of the things we could do it, but typically we try to use like sub LOB money and then, but if we have to,
Transfer.
yeah, to get to use capital outlay, but we have plenty to do a purchase like this out of capital outlay. So it'd be one of the projects that we'd have for this year, so.
How many, do we have any more projects we're looking at this?
I mean, that depends on how some of these things play out with this maintenance building and, the parking lot and different things. So they're not adding up quick, large, but but there's some of those things. But it really is going to depend on these conversations and time schedules and things of that nature of focusing on that, what those costs are going to be. So.
Like we don't have any other air conditioners that we.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Thinking that we're gonna have to pay for.
I don't hopefully not. Hopefully we're done for the year with these few issues we've had, but not gonna say there's not. But there's room to deal with that within the capital outlay budget for sure.
Okay.
Because it's about $425,000 we have to play a year within that capital outlay to take care of projects and things is what I've done since I've been here. So there's some room in there, but not saying that we're not gonna have it.
Yeah.
HVAC thing do its thing, so.
Yeah, I'm okay with the trailer, but I would like to see maybe some sponsors.
Yeah, so
maybe drop
Brody
that price down
mentioned
a
that he'd
little
be
bit.
willing to help offset some costs with that, so.
I mean, maybe the community foundation or
Yeah,
there's
he's willing to do that.
avenues out there.
Yeah. Maybe the city would like to go in with us.
Go ahead.
Went in with them, some lights and stuff.
Balance it out there.
Yeah. Is this something you guys want to vote on tonight, or you want to table it for sponsors, or what do you guys want to do?
I'd say we go ahead and make a motion to vote on it, on the condition that he goes and looks for sponsors. That's a serious attempt. at
Serious
sponsors.
Are they in for any band fundraisers for this year? I know we were trying to limit the fundraising, but I didn't know.
I think they did that big trip one, so he hasn't done much
hasn't
since
done-
that trip.
Well, they got chili this weekend, but I think that's for their trip.
What trip are they going on next?
New Orleans, I believe.
Back to New Orleans?
I believe that's what it said.
I don't know.
All right. Nothing? All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Stadium Creations band trailer bid in the amount of not to exceed $42,754 with the premise that Brody and his team will attempt to get sponsors to help offset the cost a little bit.
Second. Lowmeyer,
Aye.
Clinton,
Aye.
Tice.
Aye.
Parsons,
Aye.
Fagan,
Aye.
Heppenstall,
Aye.
Carson.
Aye.
All right. Kisa update.
All right, so Friday, some members of the district leadership team will go to Lawrence, Greenbush and Lawrence for our annual school improvement day. This is part of the KISA process, and every district is required to go. There will be 3 other districts with us there that day. For this second one, the first one, we basically started on our action plan, and they kind of helped us work. They have some consultants there that we work with, approved by KSDE. So that's what we did last year. So we will be reviewing our action plan in front of the other districts, providing a 10 to 15 minute update on that. What we've done so far, if you remember, our 2 items on our action plan is structured literacy and quality instruction. Structured literacy was picked mainly because of letters training that we have going on. And then quality instruction was feedback that we'd received from the staff for more collaboration time, which will lead to quality instruction conversations. We do that. So we'll be giving an update on that on Friday. Then we'll hear what the other districts are doing, and then we'll have some time to work with the consultants to update our current action plan for 25-26. We have to update it every year. Talk about if we hit our 6-month target, our 1-year targets that we have built in there. So we'll be doing that. After that time, we'll have 60 days to put in to update our new action plan for 25-26, which is around December or right after Christmas break, maybe. I can't remember what we did it last time, but so that's what our main focus is right now, working on as it relates to KISA. Just as a reminder for accreditation for the 25-26, as well as what it was for 24-25, we're only accredited in 2 areas, and that's having an approved action plan in place, and that we are in compliance with, I think there's 14 compliance items that we are in compliance with, and to my knowledge, we are in compliance because I've not been notified of anything. We will be notified if we're not in compliance. So those will be the 2 areas that will be accredited on based on those 2 things for this current school year. Next school year, they'll add some qualitative measures, assessment data, different things, graduation rates, things of that nature will be part of our accreditation. I don't know if it'll be baseline or what that's going to look like or how it's going to be established, but for 26-27, those will start playing into our accreditation moving forward. So, but just for this year, it would be based on an approved action plan and no compliance issues. Anything to add? Tim's ready to give the presentation on Friday.
Be short.
So next year's process might look completely different.
Right, so
Will
we
look
have
completely different.
we're not sure what that component, again, like, where's our baseline based on a 3-year average of state assessments, graduation rates, post-secondary, what are all those chronic absenteeism? What are those factors that we'll have to address and keep an eye on and go through that? So, but we'll bring that information to you once we find out.
Any questions? All right, building reports.
Well, you have mine, so you can go through and read it, but really just academically moving ahead. Last week, we looked at our data, our CAP data and stuff, and really just started having conversations about the data, nothing really specific or really geared towards anything, because just learning how to have those conversations with each other and building that relationships when we get down into individual conversations about your specific kids and stuff become very personable, and just getting those teams up and running. On the 13th, Monday, we'll start really looking at our essential standards and begin that work on identifying those and what's essential and how do we go about a process to identify those essentials. There's a lot of great things athletically going on. Our students are performing well. Varsity volleyball won both matches last night. I'm very close to the first 2. The second match, they kind of pulled away from a little bit in those games. But the first one was the last one. The first set, or the second one was 28-26 or whatever it was. It was close, but the girls are doing a great job. Obviously, football's they're still undefeated. Big win last week. They were pretty fired up with all the awards that Council Grove was issuing out to our kids. Kind of got them fired up, so they were definitely ready to go. This week's another big challenge. Cross country is doing great. Golf is, last week they had set their best score, team score. So, everybody's really having an outstanding season. Our staff's doing, an outstanding job. We have a lot of new students, and the staff's been doing a great job in welcoming them and being very supportive of those. The kids that have come in have done a great job, and we really haven't had any issues with them. So really, I think overall, everything's going pretty well.
Just questioning, any new issues with the new rules that we put in?
Policies?
Policies that we put in?
I think, well, if you read through there, I think our, with the eligibility and some of those things, I think we're seeing fewer kids on there just because fewer kids fell in. We have our D list may be a little bigger than what it has in the past. I don't have that data, so I really can't say, but just listening to Shannon and Darcy and having conversations with them, the number of kids we have fell in classes is a lot less. So that incentive that, these are privileges and they want to go do those things, I think it's helped. Our phone policy, I think, in the classroom is going well. I'm starting to get a few more because, that grace period, we're getting close to 9 weeks. So they're starting to figure out, just like kids do, how far that rope's going to go. I think we have 3 right now that have to check them in every day. I haven't had any pushback from any parents on any of the, whether it's closed lunch, closed seminar, or, having to check their cell phones in and stuff. They've all been very supportive and those things. So I think we're seeing impact. At the 9 weeks, we're going to release our chronic absentee rate, see where we are, and kind of set that number for semester, and then close it for the semester, those kids that are over that 10%. So
good.
I think overall it's been good. That'll be interesting just to see. It's like we tell parents, you can excuse your kids for anything. I don't know if you can call in and excuse them all the time, but not being here does play an impact in their education, and there are consequences once you go past that 10%.
Just real quick, and then I'll let you go. For kids that are going part-time or getting signed off, I saw a letter personally myself. Do we have a lot that take that option of going out and getting work study, or, a lot
of them do it second semester, the seniors. I've got a few today, or last few weeks, that they want to do that second semester. But most of them have pretty full, all the ones I know have pretty full schedules. I'm not quite sure how many they had set up coming into this year, but I've only signed, I think, 2 or 3 going into next year. But those are things that really, as we move forward with the IPS and those things, that really should drive what those work experiences are. Instead of them, I know kids have to go to work and some kids need that money to support themselves and stuff, but really make it to where it's geared towards what they want to do future for their career outside of high school and beyond.
I was just gonna mention, I appreciate you putting in here about the Indian head. It looks really great coming in. So,
Yeah, it looks
thank
good.
you. Thank
Kids
you.
doing great.
Walking in.
Yeah, they're working on a whole, from where the pop machine's all the way down the wall, they're working on something right now, so they're pretty excited about doing that. The detail and how deep the tile, between the tile, what's that called?
Block or
The grout.
Grout, those grout lines, how deep it is, it was very hard to paint in there. So what they wanted to do originally out there, they kind of changed the design after painting that. So yes, Ms. Devlin and their students have done a great job.
So that was like a learning project there.
It was. It wasn't quite as easy as they'd imagine.
Love it.
They did a good job. It's amazing how many pictures are taken out there, like homecoming, dress-up days. Kids are out there taking pictures in front of it and stuff, so.
I see you've got a thank you to Mr. Stuckey for his tech help. How's the tech program going?
I think overall it's done great. I think Allie's doing a great job with that. He's just stepped up and helped us, it's somebody I can call right away because she's busy doing other things and, kids' computers going down, or I couldn't get my laptop to plug into the TV in there wirelessly, so he came in and helped me. And it's just that having somebody, during his plan that.
Why don't you call Dina? She's available probably.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how's the other
Take us
schools
a couple
going?
of hours, but my gosh, we get to that.
No, he's done a great job. He's helping us to meet and do stuff.
Does that take time out of his classroom?
No, most times during his plan.
Is elementary, junior high doing all right with tech, and are you seeing any issues or anywhere that?
There's always something, but we work through it, so.
Yeah, I would say so too. I thought it was gonna be a big deficit, honestly, but I think things have worked out pretty good. Allie's pretty reliable.
It's good to hear.
You guys have anything? Jump in now?
Almost through the first quarter, next Tuesday, so it's going quick.
That's true.
All right. Any other questions? No? Any highlights, admin, that you want to highlight? Anything else? Pizza party was awesome, Dina.
Thank you. Thanks to Mr. Jeff Lohmeyer and Mr. Sam Briggs, they're our top dogs, they did a great job.
All right, superintendent report.
All right, I shared some enrollment information with you. We're finalizing that this week. We have to have our principal building report and SO 66, which is my report, to KSDE by Friday, I think. So we're finalizing those. In my numbers, I think we're up like 6 FTE, so compared to last year's budget. So we'll have a few more kids as it relates to full-time equivalency. So that's just based off my looking at what's been submitted and things of that nature. Working on CTE minutes. We're going to be evaluating those things. Natasha did a lot of work with that last year, so we still have some things to work out. Mr. Kimball is going to kind of take the ball and the baton and roll with that as we move into next year's schedule. So we got a lot of that lined out just to help with that. But overall, looking good. We have several kids come after the count day, so we're like, can we fudge our numbers to get those to that 9/22 day? But that's not how that works. So, but it looks like we're going to be up a few kids compared to last year for FTE for budget. So, any questions about enrollment?
How many out of district do we have approximately?
I want to say it's around 13-15%.
Okay.
But I can get that number to you for sure. And we took a few.
We were up around 80 in August, so.
Wow, okay.
So I think that's just been about the average of what it is, but I'll get that to you.
It's more than I figured.
Do we know of any coming in the near future? I mean, do we right away have any?
Out of district?
No, kids just coming into
We
the
had
district.
6 enrolled today, 1 at the high school, 1 at the middle school, and 4 at the elementary.
We know we have 2 coming, I think sometime before Thanksgiving break. 2 more.
Where'd the 6 come from?
Kansas City.
Kansas City.
So are they?
People are moving.
They
into
bought the
this-
house, they bought that house over on 9th Street. Over there where Shannon and Darcy live, across the.
Paula Johnson's desk.
Oh. 6 kids, that's a lot.
So that's gonna put it, yeah.
They hadn't even moved in yet.
Yeah.
They lived at the lake till they closed on the house.
They need a lot of update.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of kids, they were in the high school office today.
Great.
I was trying to figure out why I had all these little kids in
I know Scott's mentioned about our October 13th PD Day schedule. Dina's got a lot planned as well, and Tim. Dina's that most of the majority of the teachers will be in letters training, so she's got some tech things for the other staff that's not doing that. Tabitha will be meeting with some teachers as well about the dyslexia modules. So she has quite a lot of things on there, but majority of staff will be in letters. With the middle school, they'll do a part of that collaboration, working with the 612, and kind of they're at a different place at the high school because of what we did for the collaboration this past week. All the high school staff, or excuse me, middle school staff was involved in the focus conversation, so they couldn't have time to really collaborate because of that. So they'll be getting caught up on that, and then they're going to go tour the Washburn Middle School that they mentioned today. So Tim's going to take his staff up there. We're going to take them up there and take them on a tour, just kind of look around and do that. So that'll be that's in the afternoon for them. And then as Scott mentioned, he has a lot of collaboration follow up with defining essential and essential standards based on data and information that they have. So we have a full day planned for 13th. This was supposed to be a 3 Lakes day, but with the transition and everything, this professional development day went back to the district. And so those are the things we have planned for the day. So a lot going on, but it'll be a good day overall. So 3 Lakes update, their meetings next Wednesday, or next Monday. So not a lot of update. They have gone to the negotiation table. They do have a counter offer from the association there, so they'll be bringing that to the board there. We're not going to go into those details. We'll let them talk about that, but they're trying to get negotiations finalized to do that. So Three Lakes has been accessible to us with Kathy, being the interim and helping us and things that we have. So we're still working through those things and staffing and budget. Cash balances are going up. Kathy told me that when I visited with her yesterday, so that's a good thing. But we don't have an overall update because they don't meet till next week. So October is a busy month for recognition of staff. This is October is National Principals Month. Those thanks to our principals for all they do and the commitment to our kids and our students and our community. National Custodian Appreciation Day was October 2nd. Anti-bullying is this week as well. And then we'll have National School Bus Safety Week, October 20th through the 24th. We got some goodies for the kids on the bus, and then we're going to give them a booklet to do some things in the classroom to recognize them as well. So they like getting little posters to put up on their bus, so we're going to get that for them, so have the kids do that. So a lot of things, good positive things going on. It's been a whirlwind to get to October. We're really, with our focusing on collaboration, it's been a good start. Just looking forward to presenting where we're at on Friday with our KISA stuff. So a lot going on, but it's been a good start and things are going well. So any questions for me?
Thank you, principals. We appreciate you. Anything else? All right. I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss confidential personnel matters pursuant to the non-elected personnel exception under COMA. And the open meeting will resume here in the library at, we'll say 7:30. The board invites Mr. Osong and the building principals to attend.
Second. Keppenstall.
Aye.
Fagan.
Aye.
Linton.
Aye.
Carson.
Aye.
Lohmeyer.
Aye.
Tice.
Aye.
Parsons.
Aye.
We're back in open session. No actions. I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss student requests for early graduation pursuant to the exception relating to actions adversely or favorably affecting student matters under coma, and the open meeting will resume here in the library at 8:05. And the board invites Mr. Hassan and Mr. Kimball to attend.
Second.
Fagan.
Aye.
Tice.
Aye.
Carson.
Aye.
Heppenstall.
Aye.
Linton.
Aye.
Willmeyer.
Aye.
Parsons.
Aye.
Okay, we are back in open session. I'd like to make a recommendation to approve the early graduation requests of the 3 students as presented.
Second.
Who's that?
Corey.
Linton,
Aye.
Carson,
Aye.
Eppenstall,
Aye.
Lohmeyer.